All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're basically going to give your business a full financial checkup. We're going to build this really clear, powerful framework so you can diagnose the health of pretty much any small or medium-sized company. It's all about using the numbers to tell the real story of what's going on under the hood.
This is the question that probably keeps you up at night as a business owner. I mean, sales might be coming in, the team looks super busy, but is your business really healthy? Is it actually creating value? The thing is, sometimes the most important signs are the ones you just can't see in the day-to-day chaos.
So let's think of this whole thing like a doctor's visit for your business. We're going to use these key financial metrics, but don't worry, not as scary, complex formulas. Think of them as diagnostic tools, right? We're just checking the vital signs of your company to really understand its condition and, most importantly, figure out what's really driving its performance.
So where do we even begin this checkup? Well, we start with the owner. It has to start there. Because look, for any small or medium-sized business, the ultimate measure of success is simple. Is all the time, money, and sweat you've poured into this thing actually paying off for you? The person who took the risk.
Okay, so the key to our diagnosis is splitting it into two different views. They're both super critical. First, you've got the owner's perspective. What's my return? But then there's the business's perspective. How well is this company actually running as a machine? They're definitely connected, but trust me, they are not the same thing.
So for the owner, the number one metric is something called return on equity, or ROE. And it answers a really straightforward question. For every single dollar the owners have put into this company, how many cents of profit is it spitting back out each year? That's it. That is the bottom line for any investor, period.
Right, so you can think of ROE as the final score on the scoreboard. It tells you if you, the owner, are winning. But just looking at the final score of a game, it doesn't tell you how it was won, right? To get that, we've got to break this number down. The real magic isn't in the ROE number itself. It's in understanding all the little things that actually create it. And to understand that final score, we have to pop the hood and look at the business itself. A truly profitable company is basically powered by two fundamental engines that have to work together. This brings us to our next big metric, return on assets, or ROA. Now, this is our measure of the business's core health. What's cool about it is that it totally ignores how the company is financed, whether it's debt or equity. It asks a much more fundamental question. How good is this business at using all its assets, its cash, its inventory, its equipment, to actually generate profit? So those two engines I mentioned that drive this ROA, they're called margin and rotation. It's pretty simple. On one side, you've got margin. That's just about how much profit you make on each and everything you sell. Then, on the other side, you've got rotation, or some people call it asset turnover. That's all about how efficiently you use your assets to crank out a high volume of sales. And here's the thing. Every single successful business has to find its own unique balance between these two. I mean, think about it like this. A super high-end jewelry store, they have insane margins, but they sell, a few items a week? Their whole engine is margin. But what's their biggest threat? Their brand perception taking a hit. Now flip that. A discount supermarket has razor-thin margins, but they sell a massive volume of stuff. Their engine is rotation, and that makes them super vulnerable to any little hiccup in their supply chain. See? Understanding which engine powers your model is absolutely key. Okay, I get it. That second engine rotation might sound a little, abstract, but it's not. It is directly tied to the nitty-gritty, day-to-day reality of your business. So let's dig in and see how mastering your operations is the secret to boosting your profitability. All right, the number one enemy of good rotation is fat. Yeah, I'm talking about unproductive fat assets. This is just money that's sitting around, being lazy, not working for you. It could be way too much cash just sitting in a bank account, customers who take forever to pay you, or, that pile of inventory that's just gathering dust in the back of the warehouse. So our first operational vital sign is what we call days of inventory. It's super simple. It just measures the average number of days a product sits in your warehouse or on your shelf before someone buys it. And you've got to remember, every single one of those days represents your cash, tied up, locked away, not earning you a single penny. Okay, next up, days of customers. So you made the sale, awesome, but the job isn't done. Not until that cash is actually in your bank account. This metric tells you, on average, how long you're basically acting as a free bank for your customers. A high number here is bad news. It means your cash is sitting in their pocket, not yours.
But hey, there's a flip side here that can actually help you out. It's called days of suppliers. This one just measures how long you take to pay your own bills. And if you're smart about it, by strategically managing your payment terms, your suppliers are essentially giving you a short-term interest-free loan to help fund your operations. Pretty cool, right? So, when you put these three things together, you get something called the cash conversion cycle. It's like a formula. You take the time your cash is stuck in inventory, you add the time it's stuck with your customers, and then you subtract the time your suppliers are helping you out. The number you get at the end, that's the number of days your own cash is totally frozen inside your operations. And believe me, a shorter cycle is always better. It just means you need less cash to run the whole show. Okay, so we've checked the business's profitability, we've looked at how efficient its operations are. Now it's time for the final part of our diagnosis, the company's financial foundation. We have to ask, is your financing strategy actually setting you up for long-term success, or is it creating a bunch of unnecessary risk? And this checkup really focuses on two main areas. First, there's leverage and solvency. That's all about the long-term picture of how the business is funded. And second, we have liquidity, which is all about the short term, the here and now. It's about your ability to pay the bills and, well, keep the lights on. Let's talk about solvency. This is all about your long-term stability. It looks at the mix, right? How much of the money is from owners, that's equity, versus how much is borrowed money, that's debt. Now, using a lot of debt can juice up your returns, but it's a double-edged sword. It also cranks up the risk, making the company really vulnerable if things go south. It's all about finding that sustainable sweet spot. Liquidity, though, that's about survival, like right now. It's the simple question, do you have enough cash, or stuff you can turn into cash really fast, to cover your immediate bills? Things like payroll and rent. I can't stress this enough. A profitable company on paper can absolutely go bankrupt if it runs out of cash. Liquidity is totally non-negotiable. So we've looked at profitability, we've dug into operations, we've checked financial stability. Now let's put all of these pieces together. Let's assemble them into one single kind of elegant toolkit that gives us the complete picture, the full diagnosis. And that toolkit, it has a name. It's called the DuPont formula. And it's amazing. It was developed over 100 years ago, but it is still one of the most powerful, most intuitive ways to see the complete financial story of a business. It just masterfully connects all the dots we've been talking about. And here's the beautiful part. The DuPont formula shows that your ultimate return as an owner, that ROE we started with, is simply the product of three things we've already covered. It's your profit margin, times your asset rotation or efficiency, times your financial leverage. Just like that, it lays it all out, crystal clear, showing how profitability, operations, and your financing strategy all work together to create that one final number. And there you have it, a complete framework for your own financial diagnosis. We've gone all the way from the owner's return, deep down into the operational engines of the business, and then back out to check its financial stability. And we've seen how every single piece connects to the others. So really, the only question left is, now that you have the tools, what story are your numbers telling you?